question on everyone's minds is how effective is print advertisement? One may argue that in today's world, the form of media would be the most forgettable. But when done effectively, a simple ad can hold more power than we could ever imagine. The World Wildlife Fund is a great example of what can be done with print advertising. An image paired with a thoughtful quote can make for the perfect public service announcement. Today, I will be discussing an article written by Esther Berlich for Better Marketing entitled 7 Astonishing Print Ads by WWF. I will be explaining each of the ads and analyzing the effectiveness of each one and why I believe they represent what they represent. Number 1, stop climate change before it changes you. The first advertisement presented in this article is one of the WWF's most renowned. It shows a man with the head of a fish with the quote, "Stop climate change before it changes you." The author of the article describes this as a representation of how humans will eventually have to adapt to living in a world affected by climate change. I completely agree with her in this analysis. It is an important message to portray because people don't seem to think about how much climate change will end up affecting humans. I think the choice of a fish was interesting. However, I think this was chosen due to the fact that we will see a major increase in flooding as the Earth's temperature continues to rise. I understand how this ad realized such extreme commercial success and was seen across the world on billboards. Number 2, Tarzan cannot liana swing anymore. This advertisement shows the renowned character Tarzan swinging through the trees, except he has reached the end of the rainforest. The bright green forest comes to an abrupt end and becomes a deserted wasteland. Bierlich explains that this represents the inevitable end to natural resources. If we continue to cut down trees at the rate we are, we will eventually run out. Not only will this affect the animals, but it will affect humans as well, and this is perfectly represented by Tarzan flying out of the forest into the man-made disaster of deforestation. This advertisement is both clever and totally devastating, which is why it works so well. Environmental advertisements need to find that perfect balance between captivating and upsetting. The simplicity of this image combined with the use of a recognizable character creates an easily digestible campaign for people of all ages. Number 3, we endanger the future with one shot. This image shows a variety of animals as dominoes falling on one another. This is a representation of the domino effect, in which one event will eventually lead to more and more instances of a similar event. It is important to note that the animals begin to change into trees and other plants, showing the connections between environmental crisis and extinction. Essentially, this campaign is depicting that hunting one type of animal will eventually lead to the hunting of every animal, destroying wildlife, and then the environment will go away with it. I think this is an aspect of climate change that is often disregarded by society. Humans are mass consumers, and we will eventually consume all of our resources. Number 4. Desertification destroys 6,000 species every day. This advertisement shows an elephant disintegrating into dust. The facial expressions clearly show its distress as it fades away into the desert. The loss of natural resources due to desertification eliminates the ability for animals to live in their habitats. It is very disturbing to look at and leaves the audience with a strong sense of discomfort and sadness. There are no bright colors, and it overall appears to be grayscale, but could have some slight tones of beige. Overall, the coloring of this ad is very bleak and removes any chance of hopefulness. Number 5. Would you care more if I was a panda? This image shows a group of tuna fish swimming, but there's something odd about one of them. One of the fish is wearing a panda mask, and the quote, "Would you care more if I was a panda?" appears in the lower right corner. This shows how people will often vouch for the cuter species of animals and be more willing to fight for their rights. This raises the moral question. Why do we think some animals are more important than others? Why is the visual appeal of an animal the only trait that humans find important? What about the roles that they play in their ecosystems? Or better yet, who are we to decide what species are more deserving of life than others? The fish disguising itself as a panda adds to the desperation of the animals to be as lovable as the others. It's the last glimmer of hope for these species who are often brushed under the rug in these environmental conversations. Number 6, horrifying, more horrifying. This advertisement is a split-screen look at the ocean. It begs the question, what's more horrifying? A world with sharks roaming the waters, or a world without them? What will become of the human race if we get to a point where our oceans are empty? This ad makes the viewer reflect on something that people wouldn't normally think about. The prospect of being in the water with a shark is obviously terrifying, but is a world without them even worse? It could be seen as an indicator that an extreme environmental downfall is coming. Number 7, our pollution problem. The final advertisement on this list shows a giant oil spill completely covering the waters running through a city. This is an exact representation of how humans treat the Earth's waters. The extreme amounts of oil disposed into our water is detrimental to the state of our planet. Eventually, there will be more oil than water, which is the message that this advertisement is trying to get across. There will be no more means of cycling through the debris, and it will take away a humongous resource for humans. I feel that people don't really think about the effects of dumping into water and see it more as an out of sight, out of mind situation. This, of course, is not the case. Dumping is something that will haunt us far longer than we think. Overall, the WWF is a PSA powerhouse. Their print media is extremely effective and is a perfect use of the medium. They aim to encourage wildlife and environmental conservation, which is a goal they are definitely attaining. They have expertly used color, imagery, and quotes to create some of the most impactful public service announcements of our time. Plenty of information regarding the World Wildlife Fund's goals can be found on their website, worldwildlife.org. I wanted to quickly discuss their goals going into 2022 that they have posted. They assure readers that they are working with the Biden administration in the U.S. to fight climate change, and that is at the top of their priorities. They are also interested in using conservation as a means of avoiding any future pandemics, by avoiding risky contacts between animals and humans. They have also included their ideas to remove single-use plastics. Overall, they are set on working through some of the most prevalent issues in our world. In conclusion, the WWF is an organization that knows exactly what it's doing, and it is fighting for the rehabilitation of our planet.